Dan Magness knows Porsche isn't the only company that built both cars and tractors, but he thinks there's something extra special about his red beauty that makes it stand out from those other machines.
Volvo made tractors, Lamborghini made tractors. In Europe, there was a lot of car manufacturers made tractors, but Porsche is kind of a special mark. I've only seen a couple others at shows. Usually if you show up at a show, it's going to be the only one there.
This is a 1957 Porsche Super. Dan's son is the one driving for us today. The Super is one of 4 different models sold in the U.S. in the 1950s. Each one had a different size engine, producing anywhere from 14 to 55 horsepower, so farmers could have the right tractor to fit the needs of their operation.
The one-cylinder, smallest one, was referred to as a junior. The two-cylinder was referred to as a standard. This one, which is a 3-cylinder, is referred to as a super. And then the 4-cylinder, the largest of them all, was referred to as the master. All models use the same cylinders, and it's just a matter of 1, 2, 3, or 4. So most parts are interchangeable. Besides the engine being unique, it has a torque converter and a regular clutch. They're very smooth driving, smooth shifting. That was the one feature that I really appreciated with the first one that I drove when I worked on it for a machinery dealership. The transmissions are actually made by ZF, which was a German company which is famous for making transmissions. A lot of your Audis and BMWs and even some of the high-performance American cars use ZF transmissions even today.
One difference between this and an American-made machine jumps out right away. This tractor has a seat on the left fender for a rider, something that is common in Europe but seldom seen in the U.S.
Most of them had a passenger seat. Some of them were on the fender like this one is. Sometimes they're across the back behind the driver's seat. You know, they use tractors for transportation and everything else. So it has all kinds of interesting features, like really nice lighting system, has brake lights, turn signals, a horn, front suspension to make it ride smoother. All the Porsche tractors had suspension. Some of them it was actual coil springs inside the spindles. This one, it's called cup and cone. It's a cup-shaped part with a rubber donut and then a cone on top of that. It absorbs shock. There's not a lot of travel in it. You don't see a lot going on, but it definitely smooths things out, like a shock hitch on a pickup truck or something like that. It's just enough that it makes it a real pleasure to drive.
The Porsche Standard isn't a big tractor, but was designed to be versatile with multiple PTOs to power a wide array of implements.
This one actually has 4. There's one out the front of the tractor, and it has a hitch on the front also. But the front PTOs would mostly be for like stationary work. You could pull up to an auger or something. Under the belly of the tractor, there's a pulley that's meant to drive a side-mount sickle bar mower. Then in the back, there's 2 PTOs. The one is kind of your standard PTO. The other one, which is kind of unique, runs off of the differential of the tractor. So it's dependent on the travel speed of the tractor. It's like handy if you were like running a hay tedder or something where you wanted the speed of the machine to match the ground speed of the tractor.
The reason Porsche tractors didn't catch on is probably the price. Diesel wasn't cheap during this period, and the cost of running this machine was too high for farmers.
It's hard to find, but there is a statistic that you can find in the Nebraska tractor test, which is dollars per horsepower, where they take the sales price of a vehicle or a tractor and divide it by the horsepower it makes. And a Ford gas tractor of the same vintage and horsepower would have been about $76 per horsepower, and a Porsche tractor comparable was like $126 per horsepower. So it wasn't very popular in the United States. That kind of ended in their demise of only being in production for 7 years.
Dan started collecting tractors several decades ago and was lucky enough to pick up this Porsche during a time when collecting diesel tractors wasn't as popular.
I ran a wanted ad for 3 months in the Lancaster Farming paper. Got no responses until about another month after the ad had quit running, and I got a call from a gentleman that had one and went to look at it, and like I say, nobody was looking for such a thing, so I was able to buy it quite reasonably. The one thing about restoring this tractor, there's so many fine details to it that made it time-consuming restoration. And the one thing that contributes to that is that the hood raises on it, so there's no cheating. Everything under the hood has to be restored and repainted and all. No hiding what's under there.
As you can imagine, the classic tractor with the sports car name turns heads when it's out in public. Although he's collected lots of rare and unique machines over the years, Dan says it's the friendships he's made at tractor shows that mean the most to him.
It's such an enjoyable hobby. The people that you meet I think that's the biggest part of it, or a big part of it. It's just so good to interact with other people of the same interest, and that's what gets you started and keeps you going. They're there because they have a true fever for classic tractors, and just an amazing bunch of people to interact with.
Hey, thanks for catching Classic Tractor Fever. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel right here on YouTube. You can also find even more videos and branded merchandise over on our website, classictractorstv.com. Now don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button.